Hi everybody! So today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how I do my own lash lift. So if you guys want to continue watching, just continue watching and I will show you how I do my lash lift at home. So as you guys can see, I'm going to start with a really bare face. Anytime you do any type of lash enhancement, you always want to come to your appointment with very clean skin and very clean eyes. So as you can see, I'm very clean skin right now. I don't have any makeup on. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm actually going to be using the tape trick. So what the tape trick is a lot of lash artists will go ahead and cut a piece of tape and they'll put it over the eyelids. And what this does is it stops the glue from getting onto the actual skin of the eyelids. When the glue is not on your eyelids, it's easier for removal at the end, and in some cases the glue can burn a little bit to sensitive skin clients. So I will be putting a little bit of tape on my eyelids so that it's just easier to clean up at the end. Okay, and you guys are gonna see that I'm gonna be looking down in this direction. It's because I have a mirror down here, a closer up mirror that I'm gonna be using to do my lash lift today. So what I've done is I've taken some Nexcare blue sensitive tape, which is my favorite tape to use for any lash artist. I always recommend it. I'm gonna take this tape and I'm gonna cut some little pieces about this eyelid size and I'm gonna apply them to my eyelid. And now this video is gonna get kind of weird. Like I'm gonna start looking like pretty weird, but let's just show the process. This is how it's gonna be done. So I'm gonna put this little tape here on my eyelid. And you can cut it longer so that it covers the whole eyelid. And even you don't have to use this tape. You could definitely, do it without the tape. Like, let's see if this works. Let's see if we can do something. So I guess it's gonna cover like some of my eyelid, but like not all of my eyelid. So it looks like this. I use the extra small rods, so when we're talking about lash lifts and stuff like that, there are 3 different sizes. Typically the sizes that you will get, I keep them like this. You have your large size shields. These are silicone shields. These are for lashes that are like really long. And then typically a lot of people, they just use the medium size shield. You can see here that I actually cut my shields for some of my clients because like when you're putting it in here, it's just easier because some people have smaller eyes, so I'll cut the corners. These are medium shields. These are going to be good for your clients with like just, medium average size lashes. For me, I have really short lashes, thin lashes, so I actually buy the extra small shields. They come in the bag like this. You can get these on AliExpress for like $1 or $2. Extra small shield. Use a Y comb. I love these. When I started doing lash lifts 5 years ago, they did not have Y combs, so I don't know what the heck I was doing 5 years ago without the Y comb. I think I was just using like a freaking micro swab or my tweezer or something back then. That didn't exist. But I used the Dolly Lash Lift Kit. And I've had good results with that for a few years, so I just kind of stick to things that I know I have a good outcome with. I'll get my little micro cotton swabs. I usually do about 4 or 5 because I have to apply each product, and there's 3 products to apply. So I get these out, and then I also do tint on myself, so I always have like 4 or 5. Start with the glue. This is going to be our first official process, and again, like I said, I'm going to be looking down towards this mirror here because I have a close-up mirror that I can see what I'm doing. So I'll take my glue that I also get from Dolly's Lash, and what I do on myself is I just take it like this and I just color the back, especially the inside and the outside corners, because those are always the areas that I tend to see that get lifted, especially my clients. So now that that's kind of wet and sticky, I'm gonna go ahead and put this onto my eyelid. And how I place this is I'm gonna push it up so that it's right up against where my lash line is. Push it right flush to that. And here, you see how I got that real flush in there? I'm gonna just push and push and push and usually just hold the the corner, the inside and the outside corner, kind of tap the middle. You guys can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's really flush. Like there's not a lot of skin that is sticking out between the end of this rod and my lash line. That goes like that, and then that's pretty sticky. So now I can just kind of be careful with blinking my eyes extravagantly. But I could, you know, move my eyes around. So that's one that goes on, and then the other one that you don't open and close this a lot. Like I see a lot of people doing that with mascara even, because what happens is you get oxygen that comes inside of that, and even with people that have mascara, it oxygenizes your mascara. It becomes oxidated, and it will ruin your glue or your mascara. And then it creates a place where bacteria can grow. And so for anybody using mascara, you do need to be changing your mascara every 3 months, especially if you're starting to get styes or pink eye or anything like that. Okay, that is on there. I think that's on there. Is it on there? Sometimes if it's a little loose in the corner, like you see that, there's like a corner that is not all the way in there. You have two options. You can just leave it like that, and then as soon as you do the next step of pulling your lashes onto there, sometimes it'll just naturally push it back down onto the lid. Or you can just take some glue like this, put it underneath, and then you can push it down again and try it again. And then now I look super crazy. Well, actually I don't look that bad, I don't think. This side keeps popping up, but I think I'm gonna be okay once I put this glue, once I glue my eyelashes down on there. But again, you guys can see that like I didn't leave really any skin between the lashes and the silicone rod. So here's the next step, which is the longest step in my lift, and that is putting these lashes onto this rod. So I'm gonna go ahead and just paint on the glue here onto the rod, and then sometimes I'll take this little brush and I'll just kind of start pushing those up onto that rod. They're kind of starting to get tacky, and then I'll go ahead and take my Y comb. Usually take the flat side first, and I'll just go ahead and just kind of start pushing those guys up onto that rod. The reason I take the flat side first is because the glue is still wet. You guys can see how little my lashes are. They're not as long as some people's lashes. People with really long lashes, or those girls that take Latisse or the eyelash enhancer growers, those girls, they usually have super long lashes and they're super pretty. But I don't take any of that stuff, so I just do. I'm a pretty natural girl anyway. So now that these are on and the glue is kind of dry, I'll go ahead and take a little bit more glue and I'll put it in the places that I would like to start putting these up straighter so that it's more wet and pliable, easier to maneuver. And I'll take my little comb side of this and I'll just take it from the base and I'll just comb it up. You can even do something cool and even like flare them out. Like I've done, some girls that I've done, I've pulled out these edges so that they pull out like this way instead of up and down. And that looks pretty too, kind of gives like a cat eye effect. Lashes right here, they're kind of clumped together. I don't really like that. So I'm gonna go in again with a little bit of this glue, just put it over that area, so it's pliable. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and fix that a little bit. I just want them to be a little bit more spread out. So that one got a little bit more spread out. I just don't like, because you guys, however these are looking on the rod is how they're gonna look at the end after your service is complete. So if these are out like this is how it's gonna get stuck. This is how, I don't know if you guys know how a perm or a lift works, is that it changes the disulfide bonds that we naturally have in our hair It changes like the chemical makeup of those. So, however these sit on this rod is how they're gonna basically be like permanently altered, I guess, semi-permanently altered until your hair grows out. So you guys want to make sure that you have a really clean base there. Okay, other eye. Into there, another important key in doing lash lifts on yourself or on clients is that you don't want to, you want to pull these up like I'm doing, but you don't want to flip your lid, okay? So right here you can see that my lid is flipped just ever so slightly, and that's because I'm doing this on myself, and I always kind of flip my lid a little bit when I do it on myself, but when you're doing this on a client, this lid space right here, this skin right here, you want to try to keep it as flat as possible. What happens is if you flip the lid, the lashes will be flipped with the lid, and then it'll, when you take it off at the end, your lashes won't get a good lift because they'll just be like, the way that the angle is between the flipping of the lid and the silicone rod and all of that stuff, it'll be flat. Like you'll get like a flat looking lash. And you can Google that too if you don't understand what I'm talking about with the lid being flipped. So you can see I'm just using the other side of the comb now. I'm gonna get those all super straight because that's what we want to see. We want to see all of those lashes, ding, 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 all straight across, ding, 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 as straight as you can get them. Because that's gonna get you a really good result. Okay, so I'm gonna get a timer. And then how I do this is, since I'm using Dolly, it does use a longer, sorry if I'm looking like really weird because I can't look at you directly, so I have to look at you with my head up like this. So it does require longer timings than some of the other lash lifts on the market right now. For thick, coarse lashes, it usually calls for about, I would say like 18 to 25 minutes. For me, I have thinner, shorter lashes, but they're a little bit thicker than thinner. I always just kind of, my key number is 23. I put 23 on the timer right now, so I'll press start. It'll start at 23 right now. And I'll just go ahead and take my Dolly Lash Lift and I'll dip in there. And if you're doing clients, I would suggest for sanitation reasons that you take this and you put some on like a little patty or a little glue ring or whatever you have so that you're not double dipping into this. But this is my personal one that I always use, so I don't care to dip into it like that. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and the timer is running, like I said, so now we're on like 22 minutes or something. And I'm gonna just go ahead and start applying. What I do is I apply as close as I can to the lash line here. Just right here at the base. Be careful not to get it in your eye, but I will say that I have gotten this in my eye before, and it burns a little bit, but you know, you start tearing up, and that's what our eyes are for. So if you get it in your eye, it's fine, you're not gonna go blind, but try not to get it in your eye. Steady hands, so just go ahead and go through here, try to get it at the base. The best application is when you can get it just at the base, leaving the tips out, because what happens is the tips are porous, just like our natural hair on our head, and so that will take that chemical a lot faster, and it can over-process your lashes. And what over-processed lashes look like is just, they look kind of frazzled, they look kind of dry, but it's not gonna make your lashes like fall out or anything crazy. So, and you can see here that I'm putting this on pretty thick coated. I am running this through the ends, just because it's really hard with this solution to get it just right there at the tip, at the base. And I'd rather have a really thick solution on here than like a thin solution where it's like only at the base and I miss some parts, because what it's doing is when it needs to go over the curve part so that it can get the curve symmetry of the rod so that it can actually curl. And then what I'll do too is at the end, you'll see I'll take a little micro swab, and I'll just wipe off the tips so that they don't over process, because it can be difficult to just put it here. But some products, they're really nice in like their formulation, that it's easier to just put it here, because technically it should just go like right here all across and not really at the tips. But this one's not easy to do like that, but you kind of want it to be thick like cake icing. You want it to be thick, but in theory, perm solution, lift solution is so poignant that even just a little bit, it'll go a long way, because within the first 5 minutes of it being on there, that's really, the first 5 minutes is really where it's, you know, changing those those chemical bonds, is in those first 5 minutes. And a lot of lash artists, they might hate on me for this application. But well, it's my personal application, so it's just me doing me. So you do you. And then I'll go through at the end and I'll just kind of take off whatever I've put on the tips here, because I feel like that's a little easier than just trying to be like so precise with this that I don't actually get any results, because I'm trying to be so precise with not getting it on the tip. Now obviously if you're doing this on a client, I feel like it's a little bit easier for you to be more precise because you're behind the chair. You're also not filming a YouTube video, so maybe a little easier for you. So let me take it off on the tips. Usually what I do at the end, like the last 2 or 3 minutes that I have, I will actually run it through the tips for like the last 2 or 3 minutes, just to kind of get that extra little boost there on the tips. You guys can see, I don't know if you guys can see this video, like how close. I mean, it's literally kind of on my skin. You guys have to be that level of closeness so that you can really see the lift, because you have to get at the root, and you have to get it at the root out over that rod. I see a lot of people that they put it a little too high, and so what happens is, you know, you're not really getting the root, and the root is the part that really makes the lift. So a lot of people are just, they don't want to get too close, they're scared, whatever it is, and they just get like this part right here, and then their lift comes out kind of meh, you know, but you really want to get it in there. So of course, when you're doing this on client, they have iPads here, so this is going to be protecting the bottom lashes. Be really careful when you put the iPads there that there's not like 1 or 2 lashes that are kind of sticking up, because when you go to glue those lashes, if there's like 1 or 2 bottom lashes that are sticking up, you'll glue that onto the top, and then at the very end when you look at it, that one of these lashes will be like bing, it'll be like straight up instead of down, and then you'll have to do a relaxer. So at this point I have 15 minutes left, so I'm just gonna sit here. I usually watch Netflix or YouTube videos or TikTok, but for the sake of this video, I'll go ahead and speed this up so you guys can get to the next process. True too with the glue. So the glue now, how I tell if my glue is bad, I turn it to the side, and you see how silky and smooth that's kind of moving. Glue that is no longer good is going to like cloudy, and when you move it to the side, that little air bubble that's moving around in there, it's gonna move extremely slow, and this is gonna be cloudy and grayish in color. You will know that it's no longer. Okay guys, we are back from our little break here. We were letting this process. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove this. How I remove this is I take Q-tips and I just go ahead and take it from the base and I pull up, and I'll pull off all of that solution off of that rod as best as I can. Okay, so now that we've gotten them all off, as much as we can get the solution off, I go ahead and start with the neutralizer, which is also known as the setting lotion, which would be number 2 in this kit. I'll go ahead and start the timer. I usually start it for around, for me, about maybe like today we'll do like 12 minutes. So I'll start the timer. Like I said, it is now running the timer. I'll go ahead and apply just the same as I applied the perm solution, just at the base and up. And what a neutralizer or a setting lotion does for a perm is it basically fixates the new way that your lashes are now shaped, because when we put the perm solution on, like I said before, it'll start breaking down your disulfide bonds, which is basically your hair's DNA. It's the way that your body tells your hair if it's going to be curly, wavy, straight, straight and wavy. So at this point, the neutralizing lotion is going to neutralize that pH, bring it back down to the regular pH, and it's going to stop that perm solution from continuing to work. By the time that I'm done doing this, now we have about 10 minutes. So now it's just going to sit for about 10 minutes, and we'll catch up after. About 3 or 4 minutes before it's time to take off the solution, I'll go ahead and mix my tint. If I'm doing a client that wants tint, for me, I do tint on myself all the time. In California, it is illegal to provide tint services, so I don't advertise tint services. State board does not regulate it here because it is a color, and you don't want to get it too close to the eyes because it can cause blindness if you get it in the eye. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and mix my color. Reflectosil, I use this. The mixing ratio in this is a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you guys are just doing the eyelashes, you guys can go ahead and use like a little glue ring like this. That should be enough for you. Sometimes I'll use like a bigger cup, and I'll just kind of mix in here. Obviously not the whole cup because that's kind of crazy, so I'll just like mix like a little part in here in this cup. And then with the leftover, I can go ahead and apply it to the eyebrows. I'm gonna go ahead and put like just a little dot for me, okay? So don't everybody come for me in the comments, because it's not regulated by state board. But this is for me, so I'll just go ahead and put a little bit of a little dot here. That's all you need, just like that much. I don't know if you guys can see that. I just put like a little dot there. That's enough. So I'll go ahead and put a little smear there. And I'll go ahead and mix it with my developer. This is the Reflectosil developer. This is a 3% or a 10 volume, because we don't want to lift and deposit too much, so we just want to kind of deposit. So this is a 3%. I'll just kind of eyeball it. I've been a hairdresser in the salon for a couple years, so you can eyeball it, but in the salon I would definitely use like a proper mixing bowl to measure, and even like a little scale to measure the color. I like mine to be like a little bit thicker in consistency, because when it's a little bit thicker, it covers, in my opinion, a little bit better than it being like a runnier solution. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put like maybe 1, 2, 3 dots. You guys can see. So that's a tiny bit less than the color that I have in here, because it's dry before it like mixes with this developer. It's like kind of like you're just pushing around like a little ball of clay until it gets like wet enough that it kind of turns into like a liquidy. And I always mix this about 10 minutes before I start this process after the neutralizer. Because I kind of like this to oxidize just a little bit, a little tiny bit wet kind of consistency here. It's a little thick, which I like. So the next step here is, since the timers went off, we're gonna go ahead and remove the next step, which is your neutralizer. So we'll remove this. That is off of the lashes. You guys can see there's like a couple little ones that are popping off at this area right now, because they're just ready to come off. And that's always a good sign to me whenever I have a client that their lashes start kind of popping off, like a couple, because I can take a peek and I can see if that's lifted or not. And I don't know if you guys can see on camera, but those two little lashes right here, they are lifted, so that gives me a good idea that the lift worked, and that when I take it off, I'm gonna get a nice lift. So at this point, after step 2, this is before your last step, the conditioner, step 3, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my tint. Be really careful with applying this, because like I said, you don't want to get this in your eye, because I have gotten it in my eye and it does sting. Am I blind because of it? No, but I don't want to put this in my eye or in any client's eye, because I don't want to try and find out if I actually go blind from this. And again, this is just, you know, I do this tint on my eyes. I know that it's not state board regulated, so I don't want to have like a huge fight break out in the comments between people on like whether it should be regulated, offered. Some people offer it, some people don't. Like, it's just a whole can of worms that I just don't want to have. So it's your business. If you wanna test the waters and do it, go for it. If you don't, then don't. So you're usually supposed to wait about 10 minutes for this so that it gets on there, 10 to 15 minutes. I wait about 10 minutes because I just don't have the time to wait for longer. And then usually at this point, I do have some extra tint in the bowl, just a little bit extra tint there. So at this point, my darker haired clients, I don't offer this to blondes or people with red hair or brown hair or something like that, because it won't look good obviously, but my darker haired clients, I will go ahead and offer the rest of the little tint that I have for their eyebrows if they want to go ahead and put that on. So at this point, I'll go ahead and start applying that. And I just apply it with the same little micro brush. And I just kind of get it in there. I do get it on the skin, but if you have like a little paintbrush or something that you just kind of want to paintbrush over, it's fine. Just go ahead and outline the eyebrow. It's okay if it looks messy, because we'll go ahead and clean it up at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the eyebrows. I mixed the perfect amount of color in here because it's just that. So it looks messy, that's fine. We're gonna go ahead and clean it up. I'm just gonna make sure I hit all of those spots. Take a Q-tip and I'm just gonna go around the outline and just make sure that this is like super sharp here, because I don't want it to dye my skin and then I have like weird looking eyebrows. So I'm just going really sharp around here. Like that. And then I'll go in here like this and I'll just clean it up. Hey guys, what do you think? I look pretty sharp. So a good tip too is if you are doing this on yourself, your sister, your mom, your client, whoever, and you do this on your eyebrows, if you do get it pretty messy and you don't wipe that up immediately and then it starts to stain the skin, this goes for hair color as well, because basically what we're using is it's just a cream hair color. You can use hand sanitizer and just take that on a Q-tip or like a little micro swab or whatever, and then you can kind of just start rubbing that over the color, and that will start removing the color. At this point, I have about 5 minutes left, so I'll do the tint on the eyelashes first, and then I'll do the tint on the eyebrows after, so that the tint's not sitting as long on the eyebrows as it is on the eyelashes. Okay guys, so our 10 minutes is up. I'm gonna start removing this. You are removing this and it does start to burn your client's eye or whatever. I have noticed that for me the best thing is to take one of these little sponges right here. They're like triangle shaped, and I'll stick this part of it right underneath between the lash pad under here and right between her eyelid, and then she kind of is like blinking, and what it does is, because it's a sponge, it kind of soaks into the sponge and it absorbs that water from her eye and the water from and the color, so it'll absorb up into that sponge. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start removing the eyebrow, my crazy permanent marker looking eyebrows. So I'm just gonna take this and I'm just gonna wipe it off, wipe it away, just like that. This is just a round cotton, just a round cotton like this. If you are doing this on a client and you've realized that, oh my god, like it dyed their skin like so intense, and you just don't like the way that it like has dyed their skin, what I do sometimes is I will use one of these little fluffy brushes that I use for lash extensions. Get some of your lash shampoo and you can just you know, start washing the eyebrows really carefully, because they're laying down, so the water's gonna start running into their eyes. So just like, don't go all full in at once, just go really little with your soap and your water, and you can start scrubbing that away and it will take the tint off of their skin. At this point, you're on your last step of your lash lift, so you will be using number 3, which is your conditioner. And so now that your eyelashes have been subject to changing pH, you are going to need something that is going to go ahead and condition those lashes, and so that they will be soft and silky and not over processed and dry and coarse and brittle looking. And you're supposed to leave this on here for 5 minutes. I don't leave it on there for 5 minutes though, I'll be honest. I put it on and I leave it for a couple minutes and then I'll apply some more. But really what this does is it starts breaking down the glue so that you can get your lashes unstuck from this rod. I'm doing this with a cotton swab, but I do typically use a tweezer. It's like really narrow, and I'll go through like this and I'll just kind of get my tweezer right underneath this, just like that, and I'll just pull down and grab it and pull down and get underneath it, grab it and pull it down. And then what I usually do, because I don't usually use tape underneath the rods, so what I usually do is I'll just get a cotton pad and make it wet with water, or I'll use like a Neutrogena makeup wipe or some kind of makeup wipe, and I'll just kind of gently like start kind of getting underneath this thing here, and I'll just kind of start etching away at it until it comes up. I'm just gonna go ahead and just go for this and just peel it back. But you do want to be careful with your clients. Like I wouldn't, well, their eyes are obviously closed, like my eyes are open. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try to. And the middle part is with tape. So wow, look at that. It came off so clean, but like the inside and the outside, it wasn't really with the tape. So that was like actually that kind of was difficult. It hurt a little bit kind of pulling that off, but where there was tape, yeah, that was like super easy to peel off, dude. The same, just kind of take this and just kind of, see right where the tape was, man, that just peeled off so easy. Like usually I'm having to take a cotton swab or something and like really etch that out, so kudos to that. I'll just go ahead and I usually use my tweezer from behind and I go through this and I start pulling off whatever residue that got stuck here that I can't get off with a Q-tip. So I'm just gonna take this wet cotton round and I'm just gonna clean around where the glue got on my skin on the inner and outer corners where I didn't put tape. I think I might start using the tape strip though, because I think that was pretty nice, and now like in the middle I don't have all that sticky glue residue, which is nice. But it's always best if you do want to try something new and you are available to try it on yourself, that you do like a new color, a new shampoo, or a new treatment that you try it on yourself, and that way you know how it's gonna be themselves, so we don't want to get them wet. So that's why after I do a perm, I don't wash the lashes because I just don't want to test it. It's probably just a theory at this point, or maybe somebody made that up in the 70s when perms were really big, and so people just kind of, you know, they keep sticking with that, but I don't want to test it. I don't want to have wasted an hour making them wet and then something weird happens. For me, this is fine because I'm really natural, and I'll just put some mascara on here, and this is gonna look really nice when I put mascara on. So this is my end result. This is the brow tint and the lash lift with the lash tint, and this is the end result for me. Results will differ depending on your natural lashes. So if you have somebody that has really long lashes, this is gonna look really boom. I've done people with even shorter lashes than mine, and I feel like even those people are super happy just to have their lashes in, you know, an upward facing position. Thank you for watching, guys, and if you guys want more videos, I will try to keep you guys updated with posting new videos and new content. Any questions that you feel like you guys want to ask. Have a good night.